pounds of milk to make just 1 pound of butter? That's right. Behind every creamy golden stick is a massive process that starts with hardworking dairy farmers and ends in high-tech factories, churning out thousands of pounds a day. But how does simple milk transform into the rich, spreadable goodness we all love? What challenges do farmers face in keeping up with the demand? Let's break it all down. And trust me, you'll never see the butter in the same way again. However, before starting the video, subscribe to the channel if you love learning about our everyday diet. Butter production starts on dairy farms, where cows are milked using high-tech automated milking systems that maximize efficiency while keeping the hygiene very strict. A single dairy cow can produce up to 30 liters of milk per day, but not all is suitable for butter production. As soon as the milk is collected, it will be rapidly cooled to 4 degrees Celsius to slow bacterial growth and transported in insulated tanker trucks to large-scale dairy processing plants. Upon arrival, the milk undergoes intensive quality checks. Technicians test for fat content, microbial contamination, and somatic cell count. All of these indicators determine the purity and freshness of the milk. If incoming supply doesn't meet these strict standards, it will be rejected to maintain product consistency. Some advanced facilities even analyze milk's enzyme activity, which helps them to predict how well the cream will separate during processing. Since butter is made from milk fat, the first major step in production is separating the cream from the liquid. This is done using industrial centrifuges, which spin the milk at over 6,000 revolutions per minute. The force of the centrifuge will separate the denser skim milk from the lighter, fat-rich cream. The extracted cream usually contains between 35 to 40% milk fat. Important to note here is that factories can adjust this percentage based on the production of the final butter type. Some high-end butter manufacturers use multi-stage centrifugal separation, where the milk passes through several refining stages to ensure precise fat content consistency. Meanwhile, the remaining skim milk is diverted for use in other dairy products, such as cheese, yogurt, or powdered milk. As you have learned in several other episodes at Inside the Making, nothing goes wasted in the industry. Before the cream can be churned, it must be pasteurized to destroy harmful bacteria and increase shelf life. The most commonly used method in industries is high-temperature, short-time pasteurization, where the cream is heated at 85 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds before rapid cooling. The process not only provides the food's safety, but also modifies the protein structure, which allows the cream to churn more efficiently. Bacterial cultures are introduced after pasteurization for a cultured butter. This butter has a richer, slightly tangy flavor. In premium factories, ultra-high vacuum pasteurization is employed. This helps pasteurization at low temperatures to maintain the natural flavors of the cream. In farmer households, butter production happens right after the pasteurization. However, some seasoned farmers know that cream needs aging before churning. This wait magically enhances the quality of the butter. This is exactly what happens in the industry. The manufacturers let the cream rest at 10 degrees Celsius for 12 to 24 hours, which allows the fat molecules to crystallize. This results in a more consistent, smoother butter texture. Some facilities also use controlled agitation during aging. They gently stir the cream to prevent the fat from premature clumping. This fine-tuning of the fat structure leads to butter with better spreadability and uniform texture after churning. The churning process is where cream physically transforms into butter. It happens in the massive steel industrial churns. The mechanical agitation inside them breaks apart fat molecules and forces them to clump together. Eventually, fat molecules get separated from the liquid buttermilk. This separation happens stepwise. At first, the cream thickens into a whipped consistency, but as the process continues, visible butter granules start to form. Slowly, the churned mixture reaches a point where buttermilk naturally separates from the solid butterfat. At this stage, the buttermilk will be drained and collected for other dairy products like baking ingredients or cultured drinks. Comment down below if you want to know how these amazing drinks are made. What most people don't know is that churning requires strict temperature control. The process takes place at 10 to 13 degrees Celsius. Slight deviation from this temperature can impact the final consistency of the butter. Too high temperature makes the butter too soft and holds excessive moisture, whereas very low temperature can make the butter brittle and crumbly. Once the buttermilk is removed, the butter will undergo multiple cold water washes to eliminate any remaining dairy residue. This step is essential for preventing spoilage and a pure, clean flavor. Some high-tech factories use vacuum drying instead of washing, which removes excess moisture even more efficiently. After washing, the butter moves to the kneading machines, which will continuously fold and press it to create a smooth, spreadable entity. Kneading is a crucial stage because it helps the even distribution of the remaining moisture and fat molecules so that the butter will have a soft yet structured texture. If the goal is to make salted butter, kneading is the step when finely ground salt will be mixed. At this stage, it not only enhances the flavor, but also works as a natural preservative. When the texture is perfected, it is time for the butter to move toward the molding and packaging stage. Industrial molding machines shape the into into sticks, blocks, or bulk slabs based on its final destination. Retail butter is typically wrapped in foil or waxed paper, while bulk butter is packed in 25-kilogram cartons for food manufacturers and bakeries. One hidden technique in packaging is modified atmosphere packaging. Some premium butter brands use this technology, where oxygen is removed and replaced with nitrogen or carbon dioxide before sealing. This process helps to slow oxidation so that the butter will stay fresh for longer durations without artificial preservatives. Once packaged, the butter will be stored in climate-controlled warehouses at 0 to 4 degrees Celsius to maintain its quality. If it is stored at fluctuating temperatures, the moisture migration and textural changes will destroy the quality. If extended storage is required for long shipping periods, the butter will be kept at -20 degrees Celsius. The low temperature will freeze the molecules inside the structure, and now the butter will have immunity against the agents of heat until you find it at the breakfast table. Now, the butter destined for supermarkets, bakeries, and restaurants will be loaded onto refrigerated trucks, also known as reefer trucks. These vehicles maintain a constant temperature throughout the transit. The story does not end here. Companies track and adjust cooling levels during transport via advanced logistics systems such as GPS-linked temperature monitoring. For international shipping, the butter will be packed in temperature-controlled containers, where vacuum-sealed pallets ensure that exposure to air and light is minimized. Butter has been an essential item in human diets for over 8,000 years, right back to the earliest domesticated cattle. The first butter was believed to have been discovered by accident and an excellent stroke of fortune when nomadic herders carried milk in animal skin pouches. As they traveled, the constant shaking and movement naturally churned the milk and separated the fat from the liquid. This was the first crude form of the butter. After this discovery, ancient civilizations quickly recognized its value. The Sumerians used butter not just as food, but also for religious offerings. In Egyptian tombs, butter was found preserved in clay jars. They may have considered it important for afterlife journeys as well. By the Middle Ages, butter making became widespread in Europe, with monasteries refining the process. They invented wooden barrels for hand churning of milk, and medieval dairies began developing even more efficient techniques. The Industrial Revolution brought mechanized churning, which made butter cheaper and more accessible to everyone. Scientific advancements of the 20th century, such as refrigeration, pasteurization, and mass production, turned butter into a household essential. Today, despite the rise of margarine and plant-based alternatives, butter remains a symbol of tradition, craftsmanship, and pure dairy indulgence, which is loved across all cultures of human civilizations. It is amazing how something so simple has evolved over thousands of years while blending science, traditions, and technology to become a kitchen staple. Here ends the incredible journey of butter at Inside the Making. If you loved learning about its history and production, make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more meticulous dives into the foods we eat every day. What's your favorite way to use butter? Let us know in the comments below. We will see you next time with the making of chicken bouillon cubes. Till then, stay alive, stay curious. What if we tell you that one of the most beloved candies in the world was made out of pure desperation? Yes, before his name was on every candy shelf, Harry Burnett Reese was just a struggling dairy farmer, barely making ends meet. He had to support his 16 children with odd jobs, but instead of giving up, he took a bold risk. Reese quit his job and started making candy in his basement. In the process, he created a treat that has taken over the world. Let's dive deep inside the factory and see how these delights are made from humble beginnings to 25 million cups in a single day. If you love sweet stories like this, hit that subscribe button for more delicious behind-the-scenes secrets. Long before they became a global sensation, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups started at a very unexpected place, a struggling dairy farm. Yes, the genius behind this sweet empire, Harry Burnett Reese, was a milkman before emerging as a candy king. In the early 1920s, he worked on a Hershey's dairy farm in Pennsylvania. Those were struggling times, and on top of poor conditions, Reese was the sole breadwinner for 16 kids. Truly, necessity is the mother of invention, and adversity is its best catalyst. One day, when Reese was bottling the milk, he thought, what if I made candy instead? An inspiration derived from the chocolate boom happening in Hershey, Pennsylvania. This idea changed his fortunes forever. He set up a shop in his basement and started experimenting. Reese made a variety of candies, but one idea stuck: fusion of chocolate and peanut butter. Why did he think about peanut butter? Well, at that time, peanut butter was growing in popularity, and Reese saw an opportunity. He perfected a smooth, creamy peanut butter filling and coated it in rich milk chocolate. These were Reese's initial peanut butter cups. The candy sold so well that by 1928, he quit his job at Hershey's dairy farm and focused entirely on his entrepreneurship. At first, he faced a lot of challenges making the candy by himself. When the idea caught on, the struggling farmer couldn't do it alone anymore, which is why he learned about industrial machines to increase efficiency. However, Reese had one thing in abundance: his never-give-up attitude. He continued solving problems and building a legacy. In 2012, Reese's became the best-selling candy brand in the United States. How do they make these iconic treats today? Let's go inside the factory. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups contain two loves of America: peanut butter and chocolate. When H.B. Reese saw the potential for these two things, he decided to use top-quality ingredients to get inside the hearts of the consumers. His successors have never forgotten the tradition. They source thousands of tons of peanuts primarily from Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. However, before they become part of your favorite candy, they have to go through an intense quality inspection. When these peanuts arrive inside the factory, they will immediately get poured on the conveyor belts with the help of sorting machines. These machines use lasers and high-speed cameras to detect any peanuts that are too small, cracked, or discolored. The peanuts will get instantly rejected if they do not meet the strict quality standards. Only the perfect peanuts will move forward. On the other side of the factory, chocolate ingredients, including a blend of cocoa, sugar, milk, and emulsifiers, are prepared and stored in huge temperature-controlled vats. As we learned in another episode of Inside the Making, chocolate comes from Africa and South America. It needs a precise temperature to melt smoothly and coat each cup perfectly. If the chocolate is too hot, it becomes too runny, and if the temperature is below the requirement, it won't flow properly. Every ingredient will be measured down to the gram to ensure that every Reese's cup tastes exactly the same whenever you eat it. Once the peanuts pass inspection, they will head into the giant industrial roasters. These massive steel drums will slowly rotate and tumble thousands of peanuts to roast them perfectly. The temperature inside these roasters is set at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. This temperature is ideal for drawing out the rich, nutty flavor that we all love. However, Reese's uses a trick here. They roast some peanuts more than others. This is a cool hack because mixing light roasted and dark roasted peanuts together creates a deeper and more complex peanut butter flavor. After roasting, the peanuts will move through a rapid cooling system that will instantly bring them back to room temperature to lock in the perfect roasted taste. When the peanuts are cooled, it is time for them to see the inside of powerful grinders. The grinders will crush them into a thick, slightly chunky peanut paste. This is the stage where the magic happens. If you have ever wondered why the peanut butter inside a Reese's cup tastes different from the peanut butter you buy in the jar, this step is the answer. The peanuts are intentionally made to be crumbly, yet creamy, rather than smooth and spreadable. To achieve this, the ground peanut paste is sent into prodigious industrial mixtures, where it's blended with just the right amount of sugar, salt, and a bit of vegetable oil. The sugar sweetens up the paste, the salt enhances the nutty richness, and the oil helps to prevent it from drying out. But here's a secret of Reese's. They add only minute quantities of vegetable oil so that the peanut butter remains slightly dehydrated. This keeps it from being too runny when placed inside the chocolate shell. That's how their every bite is crumbly and melt in your mouth perfect. Once the peanut butter is completely blended, it will be transferred to colossal stainless steel storage tanks where the butter will wait for its turn to be piped into delicious chocolate cups. Now, let's talk chocolate. The factory has these massive conveyor belts with rows of small cup-shaped molds. As the molds pass under precision chocolate dispensers, they get filled with a layer of warm, liquid Hershey's chocolate. Here's the fun part. Rather than just letting the chocolate sit at the bottom, the molds immediately spin at a high speed so that the chocolate edges are evenly coated. This process is called centrifugal molding. It makes sure that every cup has a thin, even chocolate shell. After the creation of cups, the trays are then gently cooled in a temperature-controlled tunnel. This cooling firms up the chocolate while keeping it soft enough for the next step, where the fusion will happen. The peanut butter, which was desperately anticipating the chocolate in the storage tanks, is ready to be dispersed. Each partially set chocolate cup will move down the conveyor belt and pass under a set of precision depositors, which will squeeze out the perfect amount of peanut butter, filling into every chocolate shell. The machines are programmed to dispense the exact right amount every time. Too much filling will break the chocolate shell, and too little is just disappointing. The peanut butter lands right in the center of each cup according to a perfect chocolate to peanut butter ratio. Do you know what's amazing during this process? Everything happens in milliseconds with top-notch accuracy. Next up is the finishing of the setup with more chocolate. Another set of chocolate dispensers coats the top of each cup with a thin, smooth layer of melted Hershey's chocolate. After this final maneuver, the cups will pass again through a cooling tunnel. This tunnel is important as it ensures perfect consistency. The chocolate sets here properly without getting too hard or too soft. By the time the cups come out from the other end of the tunnel, they are complete Reese's peanut butter cups. Now it's time to wrap them up in the iconic orange foil. Each cup will be carefully lifted up by large robotic arms and placed onto a high-speed conveyor belt. After the wrapping, the cups will be sorted into different packs. Finally, the packaged Reese's cups are stacked into boxes, loaded into trucks, and shipped all around the planet. Here, the journey of Reese's Cup, from fresh roasted peanut butter to that perfect balance of chocolate and peanut butter goodness, will end inside your mouth. It is pretty mind-blowing to think that a simple treat made in a basement nearly 100 years ago now makes 5.4 billion cups every year. This is the end of today's episode at Inside the Making. Let us know about your favorite memory of these cups in the comments section. If you loved the video, show us your support in the form of likes and subscriptions to the channel to see more secrets of your favorite foods. We will take you on a tour of another iconic factory. Until then, stay sweet, stay curious. Who doesn't love the first bite of an ice cream? Smooth, cold, bursting with flavors, and taking you straight into the blessed memories of childhood. Honestly, everything feels right in the world with a perfect scoop in the mouth. However, have you ever wondered about the story behind this ecstatic bite? Let's go straight into the heart of an ice cream factory, where passion meets precision. From crafting irresistible flavors to the high-speed machines that churn out millions of gallons, you will discover artistry and innovation. Get ready to fall in love with ice cream all over again. For most people, the phrase ice cream conjures up memories of warm summers in childhood. Slurping melted cones, banana splits, or buying a cone from local stores. Ice cream is the ultimate old-fashioned treat. This dessert has a history and popularity all over the world. Different countries have their own versions, as kulfi in India and Pakistan, gelato in Italy, and mochi in Japan. Only the USA consumed 1.3 billion gallons of ice cream in 2023. Interestingly, the process of making ice cream is the same, whether you are making it at home or in an industry. However, when we have to make 1,000 liters of ice cream instead of one bowl, suddenly new concerns pop up that a home ice cream maker has not thought of yet. The rule of thumb is that you need to do two things to make an ice cream. First, you should include air in the dessert so that the ice cream will be soft and light. Secondly, you need to freeze the water content to solidify the mixture. In doing so, a seasoned chef creates ice cream crystals we all love. In industry, the whole process begins with a gentle thought for safety of the consumers. Milk and cream contain microorganisms and pathogens that can spread food poisoning and other fatal diseases. So, milk and cream would be heated at around 100 degrees centigrade for some time. This heating not only makes the ice cream safe to eat, but it also increases the quality of the taste and life of our favorite bars. It will partially unfold the milk proteins, which makes it very easy for proteins to hydrate and bind with water molecules. Pasteurization also prevents the milk fat cream from becoming rancid through oxidation by breaking off the enzymes. This helps in speeding up the whole procedure of manufacturing. However, industrials do not like the ultra-pasteurization of milk at 160 degrees centigrade. It kills all the microorganisms, including the ones which are helpful in the procedure. Immediately after the pasteurization, different flavors and other ingredients will be added to the milk. This whole mixture will now be homogenized, a process in which fat globules from the milk and cream will get an identical size. This size can be variable for different brands and categories of ice cream, but a standard size smaller than 1 micron is ideal in homogenization. This homogenization is very necessary to get smooth and stable ice cream. The small fat bubbles serve as a Pickering emulsifier. This means these small fat globules will sit around the air molecules, preventing the bubbles from coming together and escaping out of the ice cream. So, the small size of fat particles is very necessary for the stability of the structure. Now, this homogenized mixture will be cooled at 0 to 4 degrees centigrade above freezing point. Air is not yet introduced to the mixture, and workers will only prepare the mixture for the next steps of aeration and freezing. This cooling is done rapidly so that bacterial growth won't find a place to flourish. Remember, during pasteurization, all microorganisms were not killed. The ingredients like fruits and some flavors which are sensitive to heat will be added now to the mixture before the aeration. Once the ice cream is cooled down, it will be left to age for a while. During aging, the homogeneous mixture of milk and cream starts to take the shape of ice cream. Several things happen here to help make a good ice cream. First of all, fat solidifies when we start cooling the mixture. This fat will help to form the ice cream structure once the mixture goes to freezing or the formation of ice crystals. If the emulsifiers have been used for homogeneous mixing of the ingredients, they will sit on top of fats during aging, which helps to break down the fat particles later on. Aging also enhances the process of hydration. The binding of water molecules with proteins and stabilizers takes place in this resting phase. How much time we need for aging can be a great question here. Well, it depends on two things. What are the ingredients we are using? And what procedure do we have to follow after aging? If your fat crystallizes quickly, you need less time for aging. But if you plan to follow extrusion to make the final ice cream, you may need a longer time for aging. After the aging of the mixture, it is ready to be frozen and transformed into ice cream. The main challenge during freezing is how to cool down the mixture quickly. This task is hard, as we are making large quantities and a massive amount of heat energy is required to remove from the aged homogeneous mixture. In factories, it is done using scraped surface heat exchangers. These are heavy machines on the surface of which the ice cream mixture is scraped. The surface heat exchangers are also known as mini ice cream machines, on which the materials consistently flow in and out. The temperature of this wall is freezing, sometimes less than -30 degrees centigrade. This low temperature helps to form a lot of small crystals in the mixture put on the surface. It is the only place where new ice crystals form. Later on, we just harness these crystals to grow, and no new crystals form. Freezing is not the only phenomenon happening on the surface heat exchanger. It also incorporates the necessary air into the ice cream. The air makes the ice cream lighter and easier to scoop. Under standard pressure, air will be injected into the mixture. This application of pressure is important, because if we don't apply pressure, the air bubbles will expand before time and scrape out without getting uniformly distributed throughout the mixture. The scoops will become hard this way, and no one likes to eat such hard ice cream. So, all the brands of your favorite ice cream put special focus on aeration, as it is a make or break phase for an ice cream manufacturer. When the ice cream gets out of the freezer, it is not yet as hard as the ice cream in your tub. It will only be around -5 degrees Celsius. The ice cream containers cannot leave at this temperature because the structure will collapse immediately after going into the hot areas. So, further hardening is inevitable. Now, the ice cream mixture will be passed through a tunnel with blowing cold air to rapidly remove the heat from the crystals. How much hardening is needed here depends upon what we are going to do next. If the ice cream needs to take the special signature shapes of a brand, it should be hard enough to keep its shape, but soft enough to be molded into the desired form. On the other hand, if the next phase is getting dosed into a tub, it should still be flexible enough to take the shape of the container. Once the mixture has got into the tub or desired containers and all packaging has been done, it will again go for the hardening towards the tunnel. The experts of frozen items do not have desserts before the final hardening even at home. After the final hardening, your favorite ice cream is ready, and your preferred brand will do the required supply and demand exercise to put this delight within your access. Here, the journey of a fruit ends on the tip of your tongue that has been flavored in milk and cream to satisfy the taste buds you developed right from childhood. Enjoying this feast is your task. We just want to give a historical fact. Alexander the Great was also fond of snow and flavored ice with honey, nectar, and his favorite fruits. So, next time, you can also feel like King Alexander while devouring an ice cream bar. Just don't go invade India after that. Alexander died while doing so. With a wish for your well-being, this marks the end of today's episode of Inside the Making. Your support in the form of hitting the subscription and like button means a lot to us. Hit the bullseye, and don't forget to share the video with your beloved friends and family members with whom you share your favorite ice cream. After all, good stories are best enjoyed together, just like your favorite ice cream.